Will call the honourable member for Gellibrand.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I last spoke in this House about men's violence against women in our society just under a month ago. Since the murder of Fiona Baroda in my electorate in Melbourne's West earlier this year, I've committed myself to speaking about this horror in our society at every opportunity. Based on 2013 data, in the months since I last spoke about men's violence against women, there would have been at least 5,000 further incidences of family violence in Victoria. There would have been over 1,000 breaches of intervention orders, where we have failed to protect those in our society in most need of it. Throughout Australia, there would have been 4 women murdered by their partner or former partner. That's the average, 1 woman every week. Think of the anguish that we've seen in court today from the Baden Clay family, and rerun this trauma every week of the year, and you can begin to appreciate the scale of the tragedy that we are confronting. As reported incidences of family violence in Victoria are continuing to rise, these extrapolations are likely to have been conservative. Given the scale of these numbers, it's easy to see how 1 in 3 Australian women have been victims of violence since their teens, how 1 in 5 have been a victim of sexual violence. Think about the women that you know in your life, your friends, family, professional peers, and just imagine. This is a miserable, uncomfortable topic to speak about in this House. But speak about it we must, as this is the only way that we can begin to reduce and ultimately eliminate this cancer in our community. Members of this Parliament were talking about this difficult issue in the Mural Hall this morning at the launch of the second action plan on the 10-year National Strategy to Reduce Violence Against Women and their Children. Commencing in 2010, the National Plan sought to lay national-level infrastructure to inform policy-making and service delivery in this area and to engage the community in the effort to reduce violence against women and their children. As the chair of the Foundation to Prevent Violence Against Women and their Children, Natasha Stott-Despoja, told those gathered this morning, the underlying cause of men's violence against women is gender inequality. The National Strategy seeks to address this through primary prevention by changing attitudes and behaviours of young men and boys in our community towards women, ensuring that boys and young men both see and treat women as genuine equals. This change takes time. We can only change these attitudes, buttressed as they are by a society in which women have been disadvantaged for centuries, by continually and relentlessly chipping away at instances of gender equality whenever we see them, whether they be institutional or individual. This is why, during the last parliamentary break, I spoke out against a series of comments attributed to New South Wales State MP John Williams in a recent National Party New South Wales State pre-selection process. For the benefit of the Hansard, the Sydney Morning Herald has reported that Mr Williams verbally attacked the female New South Wales Cabinet Minister Robin Parker in front of 100 colleagues as part of a National Party pre-selection contest, threatening to, quote, tear her a new orifice, and saying that she had, quote, never had a real man. I do not condemn these comments for partisan reasons. In fact, I previously recognised the excellent work of the member for Mallee on this issue, a proud member of the National Party, an even prouder one after the government responded to his calls to implement a nationally enforceable intervention order that will help protect women in his electorate, one that is bounded by 2 state borders. I spoke out about Mr Williams' comments not out of partisanship, but because it is comments like these that contribute to the environment of gender inequality identified by Ms Stott-Despoja and the National Plan that is the underlying cause of men's violence against women. We need to be working towards a society in which comments like these are condemned in the room as they are made. In this respect, I particularly call on New South Wales Deputy Premier Andrew Stoner, who was present when these comments were first made, to reconsider his position on this issue. When media reporting of Mr Williams' comments were first reported, a spokesman for Mr Stoner told the Sydney Morning Herald that, quote, it was not the Deputy Premier's role to censure another member in a party forum. I believe this is a mistake. I want to take this opportunity to appeal to Mr Stoner, free from partisan rancour and in the spirit of a shared intent to push back against men's violence against women, to think again and publicly condemn Mr Williams' comments. As the National Plan to Reduce Violence Against Women and their Children makes clear, it's every man's responsibility to speak out against comments like this. This obligation is especially important for men in leadership positions. It would be a particularly powerful moment if Mr Stoner was able to consider his position and say publicly that he had reflected on these issues and that he recognised his responsibility not as a politician but as a man to condemn these comments. This kind of self-reflection is not easy. I would greatly admire him and would heap praise on him in this place if he had the courage to do this. But it is only through a series of lessons like this that we will learn as a society how to change the environment of inequality and hostility towards women in our community under which men's violence against women is perpetrated. We'll only break down this culture if we have the courage to call out those attitudes and behaviours wherever we see them. even where it is uncomfortable for us because of the individuals or institutions involved.